The recording. There we go. So welcome. I'm so happy for you all to be here for this new workshop. You've written an ebook. Now what? This is the first time I've given this workshop. So I wrote it this week. So I have to tell you, it's a little bit more than an ebook. There's a little bit, few more tips in here. So it's so nice to meet you. I'm Beth Caldwell. And as you can see, I'm sitting in my office here. I am an author myself, which is what makes me, qualified to teach this workshop. I've written 10 books. These are my last two published books, my most published books here on the screen. But I've also written a number of ebooks and guides and virtual workshops and things like that I have learned how to market. I also have my friend Steve Harvey there. I was very fortunate to be able to work with Steve Harvey for 4 years, traveling across the United States and speaking at his Act Like a Success Institutes. I learned so much from him about success and about working hard and about achieving your dreams. And it was really a fast track training for me. Today, most of you will see me just as I am right here. I sit here in my office in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, doing coaching with my clients. And I have a web TV program called Monday Morning Mastermind that comes out every single Monday morning. Raise your hand if you watch the Monday Morning Mastermind. A lot of people really resonate with that. And so you can see it. I'll tell you all about how you can get it if you're not familiar with it. So now, you know who I am. Who is this workshop for? I meet people every day who want to write a book or an ebook. But this is particularly today. Today is really for people who are using an ebook or another marketing tool. We'll get into that in a bit. But you're using that tool to attract clients. My specialty is client attraction. And what I have found is that people do a lot of marketing but they don't actually implement the marketing tool to attract the clients. So the reason we're doing this workshop today at this time and space is because I just finished up something called Success Circle. And in my Success Circle, we had 12 women. It met through the spring, and 3 of those women wrote ebooks. And as they were finishing it, I was like, I feel like this is ending, and we're just kind of getting started. So this is Karen Diggleman on the left. She wrote an ebook called The Sky's the Limit. She started on it in March and finished on it in June. Tammy Taylor, I know, is here today, so you can wave Tammy. Tammy is a health and weight loss coach, and she wrote a book called My 31 Favorite Easy Lean and Green Recipes. She was going to do a 30-day one, so you would have a dinner for every night, but she just couldn't stop, so she has 31. And then Barbara Ann Bruno is also a health coach, and she wrote a book called Kick Your Sugar Addiction. But I know that all of you don't have ebooks, and I'll tell you the tips that I'm going to teach you today also work for some of my other clients. Okay, so I have 2 clients that are financial advisors. Lisa Kral has just a tip sheet that she hands out when she's a speaker, and it's 10 things to know about investing. It could be an ebook. She could just go into each of those tips and write a chapter about them. But this is a great marketing tool that she uses, and it's very handy with 10 very brief tips. And then Beth Lynch, also a financial advisor that I work with, has a phenomenal webinar that she recorded last year about the rules and the basics of claiming Social Security, particularly for women. They can use these tips to market. These are client attraction tools. And guess what? An ebook is a client attraction tool. So really, this today is for anybody. And I have one more that I want to show you because I'm super proud of this one. This is another one of my clients, Mary Johannan, who is an amazing travel agent, and she specializes in Europe. And before I worked with Mary, I knew about river cruises, but I didn't really know about river cruises until Mary wrote a guide called Discover Your Next River Cruise. And you can get this for free on her website. So Mary, I know you're here today. So if you want to throw the link in of where people can get this, I will warn you though, you might as well just plan your trip to Europe, because once you read this book, you're definitely going to want to be there. Okay. So continuing with why are we here? I want to tell you about a problem that I've been seeing with women business owners. women business owners are doing a lot. And I feel like for me, and I've been there. When I became very intentional about growing my business, I became less busy, less frantic, less hectic, less reactive. And things started getting easier. Clients started coming to me in a just much more organized and authentic way. And what I see a lot of in the business world is women who are being shoulded to death, literally. You should have an email newsletter. You should have a website. You should have a blog. You should be on Facebook. You should be on LinkedIn. You should be on Instagram. You should do a podcast. You're like, oh my gosh, and I see people just massively creating content, but they're not converting that content into clients. And so what I would like for all of us is to stop just creating stuff. Just stop doing and start being. And I'd like us all to have intentional businesses instead of reactive businesses, okay? So we're talking today, the title of this workshop, really, we did it for Karen and Tammy and Barbara Ann, but whatever your positioning tool is, maybe it's an eBook like them. Maybe it's a vBook, which is a new tool. If you don't know what a vBook is, that's your traditional eBook, but it has video embedded in it. So maybe you have like a tip, and then when the person turns the page, electronically, the next page has a video with you sharing an example. So I love a good vBook, okay? A resource guide, like Mary's guide to river cruises, could be a tip sheet, a checklist, a recorded masterclass like Beth has. And so for a lot of my folks, my life coaches and my health coaches, professional organizers, they will have a challenge. Like 7 days to an empty email inbox, or 7-day sugar detox, right? Those would be a challenge that you could do. That's your positioning tool. Now I have 2 examples up here of positioning tools that I've personally used. The first one on the right, the Professional Women's Guide to a Fantastic Professional Photo Shoot. I wrote that ebook back in 2010. And I did it as a resource for my clients because I kept saying the same tips to them over and over again. All right, it's time for you to get a photo shoot. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to not do. This is what I want you to tell your photographer. And I was literally losing my voice as my business was growing. So I put that into an ebook, and I've updated that book several times. And then recently, I started working really micro niching my business into working with financial advisors. I took that ebook and I refined it a little bit, and I turned those tips just slightly into specifically for female financial professionals, okay? These ebooks have worked for me for years. So you don't have to always continually be creating something new and different, okay? And I also have other tools that I've used as positioning, but I still go back to these 2. These 2 really work for me, okay? So don't think you have to keep creating and constantly be creating. Now, intentional marketing, what can this do for you, right? This is what we're going to be talking about today, using one of these tools to intentionally market yourself. It will help you grow your contact lists, attract new clients, or remind past clients of you. You can use your marketing piece to generate media coverage if you're comfortable being in the media, but you can also use it to very easily and effectively increase your reach, your influence, and your impact. All right, so now this is going to be the most complicated and difficult part, I think, of today. Here's a big mistake that people make. Don't confuse marketing with communication, okay? So what a lot of people do is they have one of everything on both of these lists. They have an email newsletter, website, they have all the social media profiles, including TikTok. None of you here need to grow your business on TikTok, okay? They write, they blog, they do media interviews, they pay for advertising, they have tip sheets, they have guides, they have checklists, they have challenges and masterclasses and ebooks, and they have it all. And it's all on their website and nobody's reading it. This is a huge and colossal waste of your time, okay? So what I want you to do is pick, for now, one thing from the marketing column and 2 things from the communication column, maybe 3 if you have a lot of time. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to be everywhere, okay? So you're going to have, we'll say that we're going to have an ebook, and you could communicate it just by doing 3 things on the communication list. You could send it in your email newsletter, you could have it on your website, and you could post it on social media, right? Or you could have that ebook and your communication tool, if you're a speaker like me, is you communicate that ebook. By the way, I have a free ebook on my website available. When you're speaking, that's how you communicate what your giveaway is. Okay, so you don't have to do it all. You can do it all, but that's really hard, you guys. Okay, so this is really important to remember. By the way, you are going to get today's recording, so you can come back and look at this slide, because I know for some of you that's the first time that you've ever heard that. Okay, now are you ready to get started? So I'm going to give you 4 ways today to market your client attraction marketing tool, whether it's an ebook or a vBook or a tip sheet, whatever it is. And so these are the 4 steps that I'm going to teach you, and we'll jump into them one at a time, and I'll go deep on all of them. You're going to make a list of the resources that are included in your guide. You'll prominently promote your giveaway. We'll look for opportunities to speak and write if that's what you want to do. And if you want to do this, we'll offer scheduled, consistent offers to the media. Okay. What a lot of people do is they make a giveaway, they create an ebook or a checklist, and they're like, yeah, I did that. Didn't really work for me, because they never really systemized telling anybody about it. They didn't have a schedule of actually promoting it to the world. Okay. So let's get started. Oh, remember, you can't do all 4 of these things at once. One thing at a time, right? Don't get overwhelmed here, because we're just getting started. So number 1, the easiest and first step to promoting your giveaway is to create a list of the highlights from your resource. Now, Christy's here. Christy, you're right at the top of my screen because you were one of the first people. Christy has an ebook. Christy, can you tell us the name of your ebook? I'm putting her on the spot. I didn't even tell her.
So after many reiterations, I think we've landed with, it's kind of escaping me, Beth, but something like the ways that successful leaders sabotage themselves.
Like the 4 mistakes, successful.
The 4 habits. I think
4 habits of highly effective leaders, something like that, right?
Yes.
So, and the reason I asked you, and I apologize, thanks for playing with me there as I put you on the spot. She literally just had this idea like 2 days ago. So I registered for the workshop and said, you will be here. So thanks for playing with me here, Christy. But Christy's only has 4 strategies. So it's going to be very easy for her to make a list of the highlights. And by the way, if you're stuck here, I have some examples coming up. But Christy, I want you to just pull out those 4 things. And even if you're like, well, wouldn't that give it all away? Why would they get the book? We're not going to share all 4 of them at the same time. We're just going to have them sort of as a resource so we can customize to the audience. Okay. So I'm going to show you, I don't know if it's now or I'll show you a couple of examples in a little bit. So number 1 is you're going to make your lists of the tips that you have. So for Tammy, who has the 31 recipes, right? She's not going to make a list of 31. Just Tammy, pick 6, pick 4 or 6 of your favorite recipes, maybe 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches. I don't know if you're breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It might be all dinner. So just pick a handful of super easy, healthy recipes. Not the real complicated ones, or not the ones that have vegetables in them that people don't recognize, but the ones that would be easy to capture people's attentions on, okay? Barbara Ann has the book on sugar detox or the program on sugar detox. And so Barbara Ann, I know that thing is filled with like 100 strategies. So what you want to do is pick like 3 or 4 really simple, basic ones. Okay. My background is in publicity. And so we don't take the real complicated things to the media. The media is always interested in easy ways people can lose weight, right? An easy way to swap out sugary drinks for tasty drinks that don't have sugar. That's the kind of thing that the media is interested in. Okay. So you're going to make your list of your 3 or 4 things, and then you're going to prominently promote these tips. Okay, you can promote them on your website, not just in one place on your website. By the way, some of you I've been on your websites because I wanted to see what your ebooks are. For some of you, those ebooks are a little hard to find. Like I have to click in 3 or 4 places before I can find them. They're sort of hidden. Okay, so I want your ebook to be prominent on your website, maybe on the homepage, maybe also on the contact page, maybe also you have a blog that features that one. And well, it would really depend, perhaps on your about page. Now, by the way, we're going to prominently promote these things, but we're not going to do them all the same day. Okay, we don't want to overwhelm the world with this. We're just going to conscientiously and intentionally promote this stuff. Okay, so we want to have it on your website. We want to have it on your social media sites. And again, I am going to show you examples so you can sort of visualize the way you'll do it. Who here uses Linktree? Linktree used to be just for Instagram users. Good, Mandy, use it. Mandy, I'm glad to see that you use it. Linktree, oh, and Mandy just came to one of my workshops last week. So I'm really glad to see that you use it. Linktree is a super easy way that you can, it's a free tool that you can use where you can put like your highlights of how people can get your ebook or get on your newsletter list or get a coaching session with you. And you can put that in your social media profiles. Okay. So social media, all the ones that you're on, and having a Linktree as a tool that you can use. How about your email signature line? Now available or coming soon, right? Your email newsletter is a great way to promote your ebook. A blog. So a lot of people don't have their giveaway on their own blog. They don't think of that. They think that people are just going to see it where they put it. People don't look on every page of your website. Okay. So your blog would be the first place I want it, but I also want it to be on other people's blogs. Those would be the centers of influences or your referral partners, your colleagues, those companies and colleagues that are complementary. They have complementary services to you, not competitive. Okay, so I keep using Barbara Ann as an example because she has that sugar detox. Well, there may be, Reiki providers, naturopathic doctors, yoga studios. Those are people who are complementary, not competitive, right? They see women who are interested in holistic wellness and health, but they don't offer a sugar detox program. So is there somebody like that with you? They see and help your audience. And so you share something with their audience and they share something with yours, and it sort of elevates both of you. So that's a way that you can market. If you have a Google business page, you can put your announcement on your Google business page. I don't know that a lot of people go looking at people's business pages, but I do know that increases your Google ability. So it's a good place to put it. Anywhere that you have a bio or a profile. So obviously, if you're on LinkedIn, you have a bio. You'd want to put that in the bio. Christine Mallory is the author of, or her ebook is available here. You would put that into your bios or your profiles, including maybe your professional membership profiles, like if you belong to the Coaches Association or the Association of Professional Organizers or the Financial Professionals Association, you all have profile pages there. And so I always tell my clients once or twice a year, take a peek at those profiles and make sure the photo is updated and that your bio has everything that it needs to be in it. But how about in your introduction for those of you who speak, right? So I was at an event this week where there was a speaker and somebody got up and read her introduction like this. And just read it. And it was fine, but it didn't make me want to jump over to that person's website and download something and get on her list, right? So if you're a speaker, we want your introduction to be super brief and super excited and say, she's the author of the 30-Day Sugar Detox. If you would like a free copy of her ebook, you can get it at. That's a great introduction because instead of people getting out their phones to look at who's texted them or see what's on Instagram, they're like leaning in to hear what you have to say. Okay, and then you can also promote your giveaway in paid ads. And that works. And you could use Google ads, you could use Facebook ads, you could use LinkedIn ads. You could also use paid ads in the community. If you belong to a community organization like a chamber of commerce or like a small organization, or maybe you really want to work with nurses, or you really want to work with teachers, they have newsletters and magazines, and even alumni groups have magazines. You could pay for ads in them, and many times they're very affordable. So there's a way that you can prominently promote. I hope you have a lot of ideas, but let me remind you, we're not going to do all of this on the same day. Okay, we're going to stretch this out into a marketing plan that goes across several months, because this is a tool that is, this is not like that traditional old-fashioned, for those of you who've taken marketing classes, this is not the traditional marketing pyramid or the marketing funnel. This is a marketing circle where it continues to go around and around. Okay, I wrote my first ebook on the professional photo shoot 11 years ago, and it is still bringing me clients to this day. Okay, it's still helping me impress and delight my clients. So let me give you some examples on how to promote. So the first and easiest one is your LinkedIn profile. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Let me blow it up for you a little bit. So this is the way it looks to me, not the way it looks to you. Hopefully it's a little cleaner to you. But what I have is on my website, where you'll look at my contact information, my contact info, it'll pop up and it'll say, watch the newest masterclass. Now, I try to put up a new masterclass on my website every 2 months, and it became too much for me to try to remember to go everywhere that I had this advertised and change it. New masterclass, imposter syndrome. New masterclass, manifest a life of success. Manifest is the one that's up there now, but I can't remember to always change that. So I just put watch my newest masterclass. It still works, okay? And then another thing that I do to really promote myself is I have my best recorded workshops on my website, and there's the link. And I'll show you how to get to that either. That is such a great client attraction tool for me, because, you know, a lot of people just want to get on the phone with me, or they still email and call me and send me LinkedIn messages. Can I just meet you for coffee? Can I just have a 30-minute phone call? Can I just pick your brain? No, you can't. But you can go to this website, and anything that you want, pretty much any class that I've ever taught that you might be interested in, you can find there. And that's my way of mentoring. And through that, the people who want to work with me, once they watch 2 or 3 workshops, and they want like one-on-one attention instead of the, you know, the whole group and the generic stuff, they're like, okay, I'm in. I never have to sell them, because they've gotten a little dose of vitamin Beth, right? And they're like, I want that every month in my life. So in your LinkedIn profile is one. Here's an example. Okay, so this is from the Sugar Detox program. This is Barbara Ann. She just graduated from my my spring shift success circle. And so here, this is where she is pulling out a recipe from her Sugar Detox program. Remember when I told you to make a list, right? So this is a recipe. She did this over Labor Day because it was a burger recipe, okay? And so there's a great picture of it. I think that's her son, or her son-in-law maybe. And then there's the link where you can go to get the recipe and learn more about the program. So you see how she's not saying, hey, get my ebook, get my ebook, get my ebook. She's like, oh, here's a burger. Here's a really good, healthy, sugar-free snack that you can have for Labor Day. This is what it is. And then here, click here to get the recipe. And it's dripping the information, not slamming the information into them, okay? That's another example. Now, remember I told you about Lisa, the financial advisor? So she has 10 things to know about investing. And we originally created this handout for a workshop that she was giving. And she can now take any of these 10 tips and go deeper into them. So she could pull this number 2 tip. The primary reason to invest in a stock is because the company is making a profit, and you want to participate in its long-term success. So, you know, I'm not a financial advisor, but I work with a number of them. There's a lot of reasons why people buy stocks. A lot of times it's not this. A lot of times it's because they read it in a magazine, paid advertisement. Somebody told them you should, right? They feel, or they have a friend that works for that company. All these external reasons And we do this not just for investing, we do it for a lot of the things that we do, right? But this is a really poignant reminder what the primary reason is. So if you're really interested in investing, this might resonate with you and you might click to learn more. So what I would do if I were posting this either in a blog post or a social media post, I would say get all 10 tips here and let them go back to that. Or maybe Lisa's doing a media interview. So for those of you who are financial advisors, I know you worry all about compliance, but this piece has been approved by compliance, okay? So if she goes and talks to a news reporter about the stock market, she knows that she can have this handout and talk about this tip, right? And then guess what? The media can say, if you like Lisa's 10 tips, you can get it on our website. Would that be good for your business? That would be fantastic, right? So Karen Diegelman, or no, this is Beth Lynch. So she has that beautiful webinar. If you have any interest or need, whether for yourself or for a family member, it's a really good, Beth, if you're on, share that link, okay, where people can watch the webinar. But the webinar, like looking at the webinar itself, it doesn't look like I just want to jump right in. It might be something like, yeah, I should probably do that. But what's going on Instagram right now? Because like, who really wants to think about Social Security, okay? And on the website where the webinar is listed, it has all of the tips, but that's a lot. So spoon feed it to them. A person may be able to receive spousal benefits. A lot of people don't know this. They maybe were married for 20 years and have been divorced for 25 years. And they've forgotten that man, right? And they may not even realize that they can get benefits from this, okay? And so what I added, that's rule number 3, click here to watch. So where somebody might have been like, I want to watch that webcast, I need to watch that webcast, I really should watch that webcast. Now Beth is breaking it down into, here's one little tip. And then it might be, you know what, I know somebody who needs to talk to her. And that's what we're really looking for. And then here's Karen's. This is an email signature line. Some of you don't use email signature lines, or you just use them with your name. And so an email signature line is a way to promote something. Just occasionally, you might put this up for a month. So normally Karen's email signature just says, Learn and Thrive Coaching. I think it might say, schedule an appointment with me here. But why not change that for a month or two? Just release, the sky's the limit, put a picture of the book, and then they can click and go right to that link. So this is an example of what I mean when I say prominently promote, okay? All right, number 3, for those of you who enjoy speaking and writing, your ebook or your marketing tool is such a wonderful addition to your speaking and writing, okay? So for speaking, I sort of have them combined here. For speaking, you can host your own events. Right? So I'm hosting, what I've used my ebook for. I'm hosting a workshop called Create Your Complete Media Kit. And I do this every December. Create your media kit for 2022. That'll be the one that comes up in December. So watch for it, right? And then it'll say, it'll tell about the description of the workshop. And then it'll say, we're meeting on December 4th at whatever time, and then it'll say register here. And then those who attend or those who register will receive, or here's what's included. And I usually say something like a 30-minute workshop or a 1-hour workshop, content, tips, 5 tips on how to create your media kit, examples of media kits, and a complimentary copy of the book, The Professional Women's Guide to a Photo Shoot. So it's a gift that they get. So people who, you know how it is, you've done this, people might sign up for your workshop and not come to your workshop, but they got your free gift. So they know about you, okay? So hosting your own events, that's a way. And then at your events, if they're live in person, my ebook for the photo shoot is only 13 or 15 pages. So I sometimes will print that out and give it as an actual physical gift as well. People don't like to spend money on printing, but that's less expensive than buying people a mug or buying some other kind of a tchotchke for them. And it's a nice book and it's a good resource, right? So you can host your own events and you can use your giveaways in that way. You can go to other people's events, other organizations and associations, and speak to their audience. And they are always so appreciative when I say, I'll be sending you the handouts to print for your group. And I'm also going to give everybody a complimentary copy of my ebook. And, I pick the one that makes sense for that audience, right? So speaking for yourself is great. Speaking for other organizations, maybe local to you, but then you can also look for conferences and events that happen worldwide. I tell my clients, where do you want to travel? Where do you want to visit? And you just go look in that town on this amazing tool called Google, and you find out about speaking engagements and conferences. A lot of in the United States here, we have like the Massachusetts Conference for Women, the Texas Conference for Women, the New Jersey Conference for Women, the Pennsylvania Conference for Women. All of those conferences, when you go to them, it'll say speakers. And you click on that button and you read it, and it'll say apply to be a speaker here. So if that audience makes sense for you, you can look for opportunities to apply. You could also add a page to your website that says available for speaking on these topics and list out those 4 resources from your book. Okay. You want to show pictures of yourself speaking. I should have pulled one up for this, right? I spoke at the Junior League. How many of you are familiar with the Junior League? And I didn't even think that they were still around, because it's not a huge group here in my hometown, but it's still very big in the South. But I posted up a photo of me at the Junior League Leadership Conference 2-3 Saturdays ago and said, September is Women's Leadership Month. I always do a lot of leadership conferences. And of course, last year I did a lot of them virtually, right? But I just said, it's a small group, but it's so good to be back in person, right? And then people see that and they're like, hey, can you speak at my group? It works. Showing proof of yourself speaking works. There's so many opportunities to write and blog. And here's my tip for you. When it comes to speaking and writing, don't get lost in the weeds. Remember, the reason you're doing this is to promote your ebook, okay? So remember to put it in the writing, or make sure you have it as a giveaway, because some of you will get lost in like making sure it's perfect and you forget the whole reason you're doing it. So it's a lot at first. All right, and the very last tip I have for you today is media announcements. And this is not something you have to do right away. It's not something you have to do if you're not comfortable, but this is such a great tool to really boost your visibility, okay? So look, if you go out your door right now and you look to the left and right, you are gonna see lots of successful businesses, okay? Or if you go on to like Google Maps, for those of you who are staying in these days, right? There are a lot of successful businesses in your community that have never been on TV. They've never been on a podcast. They've never been written about in a magazine, okay? And they're doing fine. So publicity isn't mandatory for success. But for you, those of you who are here today, publicity can really help you set yourself apart from your colleagues and your competition. If somebody's looking at whatever you do, whether it's a financial advisor, dentist, Reiki practitioner, leadership coach, health coach, whatever it is, if they're looking at you and somebody else and you've been on TV, it's something about you just seems like you're the better choice. Okay, so it makes it easier for people to hire you when you've been featured in the media. But again, it's not required. Now I have whole 2-hour classes on creating a publicity plan. So I'm just really narrowing this down for you. But what we're talking about today is creating a media plan for your ebook. So we're really super focused on this. We don't have to do everything you've ever done in your life. It's just this ebook. So we create your media kit. You come to my December workshop if you don't know how to do that. You compile a media list, like who are the reporters, editors, and producers that this makes sense for you to share this information with. You design a plan. In other words, okay, in October, I'm going to talk about this tip. In November, I'll talk about this tip. In December, this, right? That's your plan. You mark those days on your calendars. And when I say you make offers, this is what I mean. In the old days, like 5 years ago, like 10 years ago, we used to send press releases. press releases, press release, press release, faxing them, emailing them, mailing them in the mail, putting them in a box with a gift that you ship to the TV station. Nobody does that anymore. Now we make offers. We reach out to an editor, a producer, a reporter, and we say, you know, here's a good one for some of you. We're about to come up on daylight savings time. We're going to be changing our clocks. And a really good idea for a story is, and you just fix it into the work that you do. Okay. If you're a leadership coach, it's like getting people out of their winter funk. Okay. If you're a health coach, you talk about the whole SADD thing about people who have problems with like nighttime and it being dark too much, right? You find out there are so many things. November, I think, well, to any disease that is out there or condition, ADHD, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, autism, heart disease, breast cancer, right? All of them have a month if you talk about that. There's also things like productivity month and getting it done month. There's something that can fit into whatever you do. There's also like breaking news. You know, let's say, for example, the financial advisors. Let's say a celebrity is getting a divorce, right? One of my clients from California, she was on the news because way back when Brad and Angelina got a divorce, they were talking about that stuff on the news, and she was on Fox News in San Diego talking about how Brad, this was so interesting. You know, he set up his pay for movies so that he didn't get paid for the movie in advance. He would get paid based on how well the movie did. That way, Angelina couldn't take all that money from the movie. It was all based on how the movie did. So he got to work without getting paid. And then if he made a lot of money, it was kind of a bonus. It was a really interesting thing. So, you know, a lot of the pitch this was the offer, the pitch. You know, a lot of men hide their assets during a divorce. That's exactly what Brad is doing. I don't even remember what Brad Pitt, right? It's exactly what Brad's doing in this divorce. You might want to talk about this. They had her on the same day. So pitching on to current events, especially celebrity events, right? Those are the things. So that's you're making your offers and then being consistent, okay? So one of the women in my mastermind group, she's not a client of mine, she's a colleague of mine. She said, you know, I get all these emails about how did you get into Inc. magazine? You're so lucky you got into Inc. magazine. She said, I've been pitching in Inc. magazine for 25 solid months before they replied to me. And I just kept on sending it, okay? So that is what I mean by remaining consistent. And if you have a fear about being seen or being visible, or you sabotage yourself with productivity and never get it done, you know, just get help. Because look, there's a lot of people on TV. There's a lot of people being interviewed on the radio and podcasts and written about in magazines that just aren't that fabulous. And they're not as fabulous as you are. And the only reason they're talking about her instead of you is because you haven't made the offer. So if you're too icky about making the offer, just get help. All right, really quick media tips. I don't want any of you pitching or offering the media if you're not available, if you're not ready. If you don't, and what we want to do is be a resource to them. Position yourself as a resource and position yourself to have a long-term relationship, okay? My client who was on Fox News in San Diego, she has a relationship with them. They now call her. In fact, she was on, she's been on like maybe 11 times now. But this past year, she was on for Valentine's Day about how couples don't talk about money. Now, that was a really creative pitch that she made, okay? So we're not just trying to get on the news one time. We want to create a relationship. I didn't really need to put that in today. I just wanted to share that with you. All right. Now, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I want to remind you of my 25 recorded websites. So this is the homepage of my website, coachbethcaldwell.com. And about halfway down, you'll see this picture for my last book launch. And you just click that little button that says instant access. And Erica, maybe you can put that link in for everybody and just bookmark that page. And there's a whole section of publicity recorded workshops on that page if you need help. Okay. So let's recap what you're going to do for your plan for marketing your ebook or your marketing tool. Make a list of the benefits, the things that you can talk about. prominently promote your giveaway, look for opportunities to speak and write, and make consistent offers to the media. Yep, don't try to do it all at once. One thing at a time, one project at a time, one ebook, one marketing tool at a time. These systems can be delegated and recreated, but I haven't really found anybody who's done well doing multiple ones at a time. So one tool at a time, one step at a time, right? So, first I did the fantastic professional photo shoot. Okay. And then I turned that into, my goodness, I could have like a chiropractor's guide to a fantastic photo shoot. I could do a dentist guide. Like I could take that and micro niche it into any market that I want to work in. The yoga instructor's guide to a photo shoot, right? We can do that. So I took one tool, I did it generically, then I refined it. Okay. And then as my business sort of grew, I started doing masterclasses. But I don't promote my masterclass and my ebook at the same time. I do one thing at a time. And now I do the Monday Morning Mastermind. Okay, so let me tell you a story about the Monday Morning Mastermind. Some of you who haven't known me too long, or you just think this is just so easy for me, right? This was hard. We just started year 3 of the Monday Morning Mastermind series. And I invite you to go back and look at the first year, right? The lighting was terrible. The sound was terrible. The outfits were awful, but the content was good. And the content was authentic and earnest, and it was serving content, right? And, but we started, I say we, but it's me, right? I started doing that on, a very, very small budget and on what I knew at the time. And so the first 6 months of Monday Morning Mastermind, it only went one place. It went in my Facebook group. And that was a learning curve for me. I had to learn how to take the video, download the video, upload the video, describe the video, make it live, interact with it. That's a lot to learn at one time. And when I mastered that, I started adding it to LinkedIn. So then I would, do the recording and the videoing and the uploading and the downloading and the editing and adding the music to it. And it's a lot, right? And then I did it to Facebook and then LinkedIn. And about 6 months after that, I started a blog on my website. And then it went on, now it goes onto my blog, and then Facebook, and then LinkedIn. And then I did what I had wanted to do from the beginning. I got a YouTube channel. Okay. And now, it's now on IGTV on Instagram, and it's only been on IGTV since July, okay? 3 years it took me to get to IGTV. I wanted to be on YouTube and IGTV 3 years ago. What if I had waited till I figured all that out? All those episodes would have never happened. So one tool at a time, one step at a time, we're always improving, okay? So I want to tell you very early, it's not even quite October yet, but in October, I will be announcing a coaching program that I do every year. A lot of people like to work with me just one time. They just want to pick my brain one time. And I really don't find that works well. But I do understand that sometimes people have just one project that they want my help on. Now, my private practice is fully booked to capacity. I have 19 clients now, and that's about all I can handle because I see my clients twice a month. But what I have done is I've extended my hours in the end of October, November, December for this sort of year-end finish strong thing. For those of you who are like me and don't take off from Thanksgiving till New Year's, right? A lot of us work from Thanksgiving to New Year's. And for those of you who do that, I'm offering, this is the only time I do it at the end of the year, is a coaching session. It's one 90-minute coaching session, which we do virtually usually. And then you get 30 to 60 days to work on your project. And then we have a 30-minute, like kind of a refining session in 60 days. So that will be, Erica, did I give you a link for that? I think I gave you a link for that. Okay, so Erica, it's not on my website. It will never be on my website. I'll send it out in my email newsletter in November. So if you get my email newsletter, you'll get that. But I'm telling you all about it today. Okay, so if this is something that you think you want help with and you'd like to work with me, that's one way you could do it. Okay, so let's see how I'm doing on time. a little over 45 minutes, but only 3 minutes over. So for those of you who are just here for a visit and you came to get some information, let's please stay connected. You can find me on my website, coachbethcaldwell.com, and the Monday Morning Mastermind comes out every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on your favorite social media channel. You can find it on every one of them now. And let me stop my sharing to see if those of you who have the time to stay have any questions. Well, there's Tammy Taylor. Tammy, you got a little feature in the beginning, so it's nice to see you. How are you all feeling? Does anybody have any ideas, inspiration, motivation? Anybody feel a challenge? Does anyone have any questions? If you do have a question, you can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask. I'm going to take a peek at the chat now. Hi, Kelly. Thank you very much. Kelly, do you have an ebook? I don't know if you do. Or maybe you want one. Kelly has.
I do not have one, and I really have wanted one, and I keep putting it off. So there were some things that you really spoke to today that I really appreciated. Thank you.
Well, you're so welcome. And Kelly, tell us what you are. You're not, you're so much more than a real estate agent, but you're not exactly a broker. So I'm never really sure how to say that, but you're a mentor in the real estate industry, correct? So I think she is. She might be muted at this time, but you know.
Oh, I got it. Sorry. That was giving me a hard time. I am a realtor. I'm a full-time realtor with eXp Realty, but eXp allows as a brokerage for us to be professional mentors to agents who are starting off in our company that are, have been in the industry for less than a year. So I have 13 clients that I mentor through eXp in the Pittsburgh area. And I love it. I love mentoring and getting other realtors, businesses started and on a good path.
So maybe the 10 questions people have when they're thinking about starting a real estate business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about all that because when you said, you find yourself repeating the same thing over and over and over. I find that with my mentees, I'm repeating the same thing over and over. So a checklist would be great, but eventually I could see later on, not right away after I do the checklist, doing an ebook for people who are starting in the business. So
which could even turn into your ebook could then turn into a Saturday workshop. Mm-hmm. Right? There's so many things. All right. Cindy Lou says she has a question about photo shoot and bio. Cindy, do you want to unmute yourself or do you want to type it in the chat? I'll see if I can find you on this list of people. Nice turnout, by the way. I do. Well, there we go. Cindy Lou asked to unmute.
Yeah.
There we go.
You mentioned a photo shoot. Is that something that you set up for clients or it was a session or something? I do need to do something.
Cindy, you know what? I'm so glad you asked me that because I just introduced you to Nicole.
Yes.
At Max Cole. Go onto her website. She's doing a photo shoot in November.
Oh,
that's the one you need to go to, right? And then just let me know you're booked and I'll send you the ebook.
Right. Okay. And I think I had another question. Oh, and the bio. Is that something you work with as well? Our professional bio? Okay. All right.
I am really good at doing professional bios. There's probably people here that I've done their bio for them. Of course, I'm terrible at doing my own bio, right? Because all of us are, but I love to do bios. And Cindy Lou, tell everybody, I just met Cindy a few weeks ago at the Junior League that I mentioned. And tell everybody who you are and what you do now. I know you have the great things you've done in the past, but what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm an author, a published author of romance novels, and I also wrote my my memoir. And I am original from Belize, so that accent is there. And the government of Belize was interested in my memoir, and they have invited me to meet the Prime Minister in 2 weeks, meet our Minister of Education and our Senate, and the Ministry of Education has adapted my memoir into our university curriculum. So I will be signing a contract with them.
That's so exciting. That is so exciting. And the romance novelist, I have to tell you, so Paul and I and my 2 adult kids are leaving for the beach on Thursday. So I ordered one of your romance books because I have to tell you all, this will be a first for me because I'm usually reading like Brene Brown and Success, and like I usually take my 15 copies of Success magazine or an Oprah magazine that I never got a chance to read. Well, those aren't even printed anymore, but I'm going to do a romance novel. I'm going to do a romance novel this time on the beach because I am determined to relax. The past couple of years have been just nonstop work for me. So Amazon should be delivering it any day.
Well, Beth, I must warn you, and they are erotic. They're a very, very hot erotic read. And I'm not sure how comfortable your audience is.
Ding, 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 ding. She just sold 5 more. So I have to tell
you that they are somewhat triple X rated. Okay. So
I think that's pretty good for the beach. I don't know what you said. It's going to be hot down there.
Let's say they're X. Okay.
If Paul were home right now, he'd be like, yes. To tell you a funny story, but I want to ask, remind me when I want to honor everybody's time, but I have to tell you a really funny story about a book I read during the pandemic. Kimberly, you were talking about in the chat, your recipes. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, it's more than just recipes, because I'm a Reiki master. I started teaching these cooking classes to introduce what energy medicine is to my people out in my community. And I do that through food. So I've been teaching these classes where all my recipes involve culinary herbs, but I teach the medicinal value of them so that it's about improving your body through health and the energy of the food you eat. So as a result of that, I mean, I've always had these handouts, and I'm a photographer too. So I can totally see that my handout and my lessons, because I was going to do a traditional book from all the information, but a 12-page ebook would be awesome.
Kimberly, let me tell you some more ideas I have for you. Okay. So you could use these cooking, they could be one-on-one cooking classes, which is hard and expensive and time consuming. They could be videos. They could be videos with a sheet that go with them, which eventually could become a book. Okay. You could also do healing with food is also seasonal.
Well,
right?
I do it seasonal. I do all of my recipes in my classes were based on the seasons. I would have them each season. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could do a seasonal weekend workshop, but it could begin with a seasonal blog. You could start it small. You could also do like a whole thing of a certain herb.
Right.
Like this one herb and 11 things or 11 recipes to use this specific herb. Another thing that I thought of was a specific health condition. So the most common ones, inflammation, diabetes, cholesterol, right? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
You could do a recipe just for 10 ways that medicine can help with heart disease. Not medicine, I'm sorry, food.
Right.
Too many ideas coming in at one time.
No, but all those, I would present those individually as ways to engage people, either on my website or through blog or a newsletter. Is that what you're?
It would be like a client attraction tool to attract new potential clients.
Okay, great.
And those could also be fantastic. Kimberly, those would be fantastic press releases.
Oh.
So every single month you could offer to the media, here's, let's say, I have to make something up. So
I do infused honeys. How do it do herbal infused honeys? That's a big deal. Like one item. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, the media wouldn't know what to do with that.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me think for a second. That's a solution. Infused honey. But the meat, you got to really, really.
Well, my thing I'm working on now are recipes that are antiviral to protect you against COVID that help kill the virus in the back of your throat.
Perfect.
That's what I'm creating now. Mocktails, all kinds of fun things that you can do on a daily basis.
That would be a great press release.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be a great free ebook. So that would be good. Another one I was thinking of. I was just thinking of something like for dry, February, dry skin, cold skin, chapped skin. Like those are good media pieces to kind of appear on the morning show for about a 4-minute episode. So there
I
would
don't
be.
know if we're ready for that, but
Listen, I'm a visionary, honey. It starts with one thing. All right, we'll move on. Let's see here. Beth Lynch, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Does anybody have, Erica texted me a question. Erica, what was that question? The average length of an ebook. I don't know who asked me that question or what your topic is. Bye, Beth. An ebook could be 12 pages. It could be 20 pages. It could be 79 pages. I think that you want to think about the consumer, right? Most of us want something fast. So, if we wanted a book, we would go to Barnes & Noble and buy a book, right? But how many of you have books that you've never read? Like a self-help book that's just too big that you've never read it, okay? So I like 8, 12, 15 pages. And some of my books are not that long, some of my ebooks, but I make the font like size 16, so it seems more, but also because the reading of my ebooks is more of an experience. So I'm making it really customized for my reader because I know my reader. I'm really picky about the insides of my books and my ebooks because I want them to be enjoyable. I love to read. I don't like it when I buy a book that the writing is super tiny and it's like printed on the cheapest paper. I would so much rather have a book that has really thick paper with really beautiful writing on it. It's more of an experience, okay? Mary Lee is saying, are your ebook pages 8.5 by 11? They could really be any size you want them to because they're digital, but that's the easiest one to create and the least expensive one to design. Okay, well, I'm gonna tell everybody my story. If you have any questions, somebody raised their hand. Let me click on that. Erica, somebody has their hand up, but I can't see who it is because I can't see everybody.
It's me. I got it.
Hi, Danita. Yes.
Hi. So I'm coming from self-publishing books and going into ebooks. Of course, back when I was self-publishing, that was like the biggest thing because, of course, unless you were Ellen DeGeneres or Oprah,
Right.
Becoming increasingly harder to get a book deal. But ebooks had not quite taken off in the capacity that they are now. So I work with professional athletes, semi-professional athletes, and collegiate athletes in this name, image, and likeness era, the NIL, that we're seeing in the sports industry. And that's what I'm actually doing the ebook for. And so I'm selling those ebooks to the different school districts that are picking them up. But I guess my bigger question is, do they work in similarity to how my brain is paper books? So of course I'm thinking, okay, instead of making it a 30-page ebook, nail it down to that 12, 15 page, and then maybe do like a workbook to go with it. Is that a thing or is that just two separate books?
Danita, so first of all, good job, you. That's very creative. And I'm thinking, of course, I'm automatically thinking this should be a printed workbook, but I think schools really like ebooks for their students today.
Well, in the virtual COVID world, because I'm in New York, most of your population don't have access to internet. So everything was done on the phone for a lot of those kids. So that's where the ebook popularity is picking up in the school systems.
Okay, so we might talk privately so I can think about the answer to your question. Sure. But what I would say, Danita, is the answer to that question is it could be a series. Okay, a lot of people who do ebooks do a series. Okay. And so you don't have to have all of the series done at one time. Okay. But when they are all done, then you sell them as a bulk product.
Got it. Okay.
Right? That's what I would do. And the other thing would be just think of your end user. What do they want?
Okay.
Sometimes it's not what we want, it's what they want.
Right, exactly. Okay? Yes. Makes sense. Thank you.
Congratulations and good job on that. All right, any other questions? And I'm going to tell you a story about Cindy Lou said that she writes erotic romance books. So if anybody else who's going to the beach or not, it's good to do. But during the pandemic, early in the pandemic, like April, May, when we were first in quarantine. So let me back up for a second and say that in February of 2020, Paul and I took a trip for our anniversary. And we went to Charleston, South Carolina. I have a friend that lives down there. We just did, I mean, it's beautiful in February down there. It's not like a Western Pennsylvania winter. And we had such a good time when we rode the horse-drawn carriage and we went to the shop and we went on a ferry out to some historical stuff and just had a great time. And one of the things that we did was we visited the Bigelow tea plantation, where they grow all the tea for Bigelow teas. It's in South Carolina. It's the only one in North America where you can buy tea. And we went and we toured this plantation. It was so interesting. And while we were there, I bought the autobiography of Mrs. Bigelow, who's from New York City. And she just got tired of buying tea bags that had nasty tasting tea in it. And that was all they had. And she had this idea. So like, why can't we have tea that has a flavor to it? Why does it have to be black? Why does it have to be just in this bleached tea bag? Why can't it be like they have in Europe, right? And that's what she did. So I bought her book. It was $10. And just like you probably, I buy a lot of books and I never get around to reading them. Well, about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks into the pandemic, I got a little tired of Netflix. I think I felt like I had watched the whole thing, you know? I was like, I've seen everything. So I decided to pick up a book and read it one night. And we're in bed and I'm reading this book by Mrs. Bigelow. And she's talking about how she's living in New York City. Well, it was written by her son. She's passed on now, but she lives in New York City and she's complaining to her family that she wants to have a tea party at her beautiful home in Brooklyn. And she can't find any good tea. They just don't have it. And she can't order it. She can't do it. So she's just going to make her own. And she starts a company. Now, mind you, in 1950, you weren't even allowed to have a bank account of your own, even if you were a rich woman, right? And she overcame all these odds and she made this tea company. And I'm reading this book and I'm going, Paul said, is that a sex book? And I said, it's a story of an entrepreneur. So I can tell you he'll definitely appreciate me having your books in it. That's all I read is business. So that'll be good. So, well, I'm so glad for those of you who spent some time with me today. I would love to see some of you on my calendar. And if you're not already subscribed to my newsletter, please do that so you get invited to the next workshop, you all. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Erica, for your help. Bye-bye.